Hey guys, welcome to The Table. My name is Jake Freels, podcast host of The Table Men. Guys, you're going to be on board with us here at the Alaskan Legend out in the wild Alaska, going on a boat with a bunch of friends, and we're going to sit around the table and talk about real, raw, authentic stories. You're going to hear stories from family adventures to overcoming major challenges to difficulties in life to also successes and how guys are shaping other men around the table. Listen, Jesus did it with 12 guys. He shaped their lives to now see what we're doing all the way to today in 2025. We're still using tables. We're still eating meals, and we're still seeing transformation. I'm going to tell you this. If you watch this whole entire thing with us, you will leave inspired and hopeful about what these guys are going to share. And you will take nuggets away that will change your life forever. I truly believe that. So we welcome you here to the table. We can't wait to see you on the boat. And thank you for joining us for Table Men Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to Table Men Podcast. We are here in Alaska. And as you can see, if you're watching us on video, there is a lighthouse behind us. We're on an island in the middle of the ocean. There is whales breaching around us. It's phenomenal. Adventure of a lifetime. But today, what we want to talk about is how the family table is one of the most important things actually in the world as we know it. Because statistics have shown if we don't circle up and do face-to-face interaction, specifically in this world of media, phones, constantly being teched in, it deteriorates very quickly. And there's a lot of breakdown. I know, Skyler, you have really dove into this over the last few years specifically, and watching that play out. But you have a multi-generational table even at your home, which is really cool. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, we have, my wife's grandparents live at our house with us, and then we've got 3 of our own kids. So basically every dinner time is at the table for us, unless there's something going on or somebody's traveling. But in general, if we have dinner at the house, we have it at the table. That's kind of just a standard rule. And then there's some things that we do every night to facilitate conversation or facilitate just being open with each other that, it's pretty fascinating actually seeing the interaction of my kids with even their great grandparents that come in and they, have regular interaction with them. And it's been, very beneficial for myself to see that. But what's fascinating is the things that they pick up on and the things that they take on as habit, just by example, like things that we're not saying, like maybe I pop my hat off before we pray, or I leave it off the entire dinner time, just super simple stuff but then I see my boys doing the same thing. They catch on to it. Or, like the words that we use or how we treat each other at the table and those sort of things, which it's outside of, it's like outside of the normal busyness of life. Everybody knows we're going to sit down, have some time, share some conversation. So it's not a rush. And then you see how they interact with each other, how they interact with their great grandparents, how they interact with their mom and dad. It's just, such a beneficial thing. It's almost fascinating the impact that it's had on us.
Yeah, which I can't imagine having dinner with great grandparents on a regular basis, which I've got to eat with you guys and be at the table. And it's just a really spectacular moment of watching multi-generational experience, which I believe is one of the keys to longevity in, quote unquote, what's called the word revival, but let's just say God moving amongst mankind and specifically in the family unit. Multi-generational impact is something that is caught more than taught. Like you're saying, take your hat off whenever you're getting ready to pray, or leave your hat off, those kinds of things. But, as your kids are seeing this shaped and modeled, and do your kids ever lead out in prayer? Do they engage in that level? What does that look like?
Yeah, they do. Actually, the thing that I love the most is when I forget to do something or like I'm like busy or I'm distant, I'm not present in my head. And then, when my kid calls me out, my daughter's the best at this. She's 8 and she's like, she just drills it home every time because she's like, this is my time. This is when I connect with my people, and it's awesome because I'll be, I'm just like every other dude out there. I'm get caught up in my day and caught up in what's going on and thinking about tomorrow when I shouldn't be thinking about tomorrow. And I'm sure I have this distant look in my eye, and she has this way of how was your day today? I'm like, oh yeah, right. Okay. How was your day? And we have a pretty steady practice. We don't make it like, this is hard and fast rules, but we have pretty steady practice of talking about our days.
Yeah.
Everybody at the table talks about their day.
And what format do y'all do that in? I know you have some kind of, formats of how you do that.
Yeah. We just have kind of a cheeky name for it, but it's called Roses and Thorns. Like what's the rose of your day and what's maybe a potential thorn of the day. And so that's one of the ways. And if I'm digging in, or we're all digging in, and then somebody remembers, they're like, all right, roses and thorns. And it's who goes first, and then somebody picks, and then we can just go around the table. And it's really great because it cultivates an attitude of thankfulness, talking about your rose of the day, but also cultivates an openness between the family, and you start to understand, like what everybody loves and what people struggle with inside our little family unit,
Yeah.
And it's fun. And then we celebrate if somebody doesn't have any thorns that day, we celebrate, but banging on the table, and it's fun when it's like a great day and nobody has any thorns. It's just, it's like the whole time. It's great.
Oh yeah.
And then there's other times that, everybody has crappy days sometimes, and we're like, but it makes you hunt for the good in the day, and you talk about that, and you're like, you talk about the hard stuff, but it also gives us an opportunity to process those hard things as a family, where it's not like we're trying to pull it out. It's like a consistent habit already to be natural about that stuff and giving it away.
Yeah.
We talk about it, leave the table, and the stuff that needs to be done is done at that point. It's gone, and I think that's just for me, seeing my kids work through that as a father, I'm like, this is super valuable,
man.
And then they have their grandparents there or great grandparents there to, process some of that with them, or even on the other side of that is see what the great grandparents are processing and through their days and what their lives look like, and what's great for them and what's not great for them, what's important at that age, which is different. Right. And they see it and they're like, oh, it was important today that, I crawled up in Grammy's lap and said, good morning this morning. That was the rose of her day. That's pretty impactful.
That's pretty impactful. I think about, we're sitting in front of a lighthouse, and our tables become a lighthouse, if you will, to what it opens the door to. I think about people that come over to our house that sit at our table, and they go, man, I thought I knew who you guys were, but when I got to sit around your table, wow, I got to see your whole family interact, and I got to see, my youngest, he's 5, and he's just he always wants to pray every meal. I mean, he's like, I got it. And then he looks at mom, and he's like, Mom, tell me what to say, but now he's gotten to the point to where he's articulating like deep, thoughtful, like great process in prayer. I mean, he's like, Lord, take care of my grandma. She had back surgery. Would you heal her? Would you make sure that she feels better? Would you look over us, and angels guard us and guide us and lead us and protect us? And you're just like, holy cow, man, you're 5 years old and you're already just processing stuff that we can't teach in Sunday school. We can't even get kids in Sunday school to understand. But yet a dinner table is doing more in my kids' lives than I won't know until 10, 20 years from now.
Do you think it's just the consistency of that that's what causes that change?
I think so. I think it's A, the consistency, and it's B, we give our kids ownership constantly. I mean, we're calling them into it constantly, and just setting the table for you have something to say. Your words matter. Your voice matters. Our whole family just got asked to go on stage at this statewide, every county in the state's coming together for this big solemn assembly. And they were like, we want you guys to all be on the stage together and representing the table. And we're calling this episode of this big gathering the table. And would you pray for the redemption of families and reconciliation? And so my kids are going to get to be a lighthouse, like my family's going to get to be a lighthouse in front of representatives across the entire state. But it just came from consistently being present, consistently sitting at the table. And now we're going to get to, as a unit,
display the love of the Father, so
Something cool about that taking ownership piece, because I've noticed that.
Hey guys, I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Triple Crown Ford, where you can find an incredible vehicle, not only built for it tough, but ready for you. It is going to be a place where you can find whatever vehicle you need. Their service is top notch. Just go down there, ask for one of their sales associates to lead you along to find your vehicle that you need. You can go to triplecrownford.com and find out the next vehicle for you. We personally drive the brand new 25 Expedition. It is incredible. It takes us on adventures everywhere we go, and we're so thankful for their partnership in this journey.
My kids even begin to take ownership of it. It's not like, this is what I do. Personally, this isn't what I do for my family, is I make sure we come together and sit at the table and we pray and we talk about our days. That's not what I do. It's what we do as a family. It's not what my wife does. It's what we do as a family. So the kids have caught on to that over time, and then they take ownership of it. And then they run with it at times when we're busy or we're stressed or whatever. And they're getting everybody to sit down at the table, because everybody's got to get their food and everything, and everybody waits, and it's a thing, and
it is.
Half the time it's like, well, my food's going to be cold by the time I serve my kids and get them all, sorted out because they can't reach the countertop or whatever. But it becomes our thing, it becomes their thing just as much. And so they're saying, okay, who's praying?
Yeah.
Who's doing roses and thorns? All those things.
Yep.
And it becomes less and less of, let's do this thing, to just like it naturally happens.
100%. No, I think, and we're in the same boat in that way of, my daughter Bryn, she always wants to talk about, we call it highlight, low light. That's how we phrase ours. And she's always like, highlights of the day, everybody, highlights of the day, and just, it's just so cool. I mean, we're talking about a 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old. I mean, we're not talking about, and they've been doing this for years now. And what is really cool. We've taken a lot of people in our home. We've taken a lot of these, 18 to 30, probably 18 to 28-year-olds in our home that have lived with us, traveled with us. And they become part of this mechanism. They become part of just right into the family, and some of the times that, tears are just crying and bawling and sharing deep, hard things is sitting at the dinner table, and I think this is the way. Mm-hmm. I genuinely think this is the way.
It's funny how easily people step into it, though. They see what's happening. Like, we have people at our table all the time, and it's like, you don't even have to explain it, like, all right, one of the kids says roses and thorns, no defining, no telling like the rules, nothing. And they just roll into it, and then it gets around to the table to the guest, and they're like, well, I really enjoyed being here with you guys today, sharing this meal with you. It's like no explanation necessary, because it's a powerful thing, the table and the conversation.
It is. I even started a youth group with my wife, and there was no youth. There was tons of youth in the church, but there was no youth. And the Lord just said, make a table and create family. And that's all I did. I literally just made a table, went up in front of the church, talked to all the college kids first and said, I want to change the world. Come sit at the table with me, and then all those kids just got fired up, and they loved the experience of, we had no phones were allowed at the table, which is same in our home. No phones are allowed at the table, no TV on. And make it, and it's not prim and proper. It's not fork and knife and, fine china. I mean, we paper plates most of the time. I mean, we don't, it's not the setting of what's that. It's face-to-face interaction, period. Which is the lost art in what we're dealing with. We do not have face-to-face. The amount of people in this generation that don't know how to even do this, like this is foreign, the table breaks that down.
Yeah. So you said no phones at the table, which to me is like, we're talking about distractions, right? Not necessarily phones, but we have this culture that puts a priority on those things and allows those things to take priority over face-to-face conversation or the moment or the meal or whatever.
Yeah.
And by setting that space as kind of like device-free zone, what do you see difference in the kids or in conversation in general, how they respond?
Monumental. But if I do this right here, I'm telling you, that's more important than
It's
you.
right in between us. Yeah.
It's in between us. That's now. I mean, I'm literally going, and it's face down.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean a single thing.
Still there. Yeah.
It's still there. And if I turn it face up, and I look at it, and then look at you, and then look at it while you're talking, immediately I'm telling you, you're not important.
Yeah. Right.
And so, especially if I'm like this, it accentuates it even more.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I'm doing this, it's even. I'm just all I'm doing is I'm breaking down communication before it ever begins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you you're not important. I'm telling you I'm not valuing you. And it's one of those things that if we want to build meaningful long-term relationships, then we have to give our undivided attention and our presence, us, our whole being, to the person, to the moment, to the thing. And if a table is present and if a phone is present or the TV's on and I'm looking over your shoulder the whole time watching the TV, I'm telling you, you're not important.
Yep.
And I am immediately, no matter what comes out of my mouth, immediately this is going to break down so quickly. Mm-hmm. And I think specifically, if you go to restaurants today, look around in the restaurant. I guarantee it. There's probably 90% are on their phones and they're not even talking.
Yeah.
The whole restaurant.
Yeah.
And you're just like, how is this possible? Like, this doesn't compute in my mind, but yet it is the norm.
We've trained ourselves that way, or technology has trained us to be that way. And I think like what you're saying is we have to actually proactively combat that thing. Yep. We got to fight against that thing and train ourselves a different way, which is, like we're going to actually pay attention to you. We're going to actually give you our complete focus.
Yeah.
And in that, it expresses this value and it expresses, oh, you actually do hear what I want. You want to hear what I have to say, and you want to hear what's inside of me. You're not just like bearing through me talking, which for me, like I don't talk a whole lot. So if somebody's got something more important, like a cell phone, I'm like, great. Have fun with your
more power to you.
I'm good. I'll just sit here. I'm good off the cold. But I don't want that at my table. And we did something, and this would probably seem extreme to most folks, but we have, like, if you sit at our table, actually, if you come in our house, you see no technology, zero technology. You don't see a TV. You don't see a screen. You don't see anything that is digital at all, right down to there's a record player with analog speakers.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And I did that intentionally because I wanted to communicate that technology doesn't take the place of relationship inside our home, inside of our, family unit or whatever. And it just, having that set in place just made it easier to be like, when it's dinner time, everybody goes to the table. There's nothing else more interesting than family sitting around the table talking.
Yeah, I think so too. And same in regards to how people feel at the table. Do they feel welcome? Do they feel at home? Do they feel all the different things that we want people to feel when they're involved in sitting down with us? I think about the first time I came to see you guys about, 5 years ago. Y'all were in the little house next to the big house that was getting remodeled. And I come in and I sit down. And Maisie just comes and jumps in my lap, literally, just a little ball of joy. She's just like nestled up in my arms and I was like, I was like, this is cool. This is a safe. What that told me was mom and dad make a safe place that a person she's never met, and up to this point, I never met her, and that she just felt welcome at home and just like one of my little kids, just sitting on my lap, and I was just grinning, thinking, that's what this does. Like, that's what allows there to be safety, and there allows to be culture, that I'm safe because mom and dad are present, and you can build from that. So I think what my next question in all of this is like, you go from sitting at the table to going on adventures as a family. Talk to me about that. I know you guys go on ventures, and fun stuff all the time. But what does that look like?
Yeah. To me, it's not about just having fun together or just doing things. It's about creating memories and lasting memories, which is something we've talked about a lot and something we've both pointed our lives to. But I think as our kids grow up, at some point they're looking back at what are the defining moments. I remember this in my life. Like, what are the things that define me as I grew from a boy to a young man to a man?
Yeah.
And they were all based off of very impactful memories, right? Yep. And so those experiences to me are how we create that. And when I think about who I want my kids to be, not that I'm trying to shape their personalities, but who I want them to be in character and in strengths and in, whatever it is, courage or persistence or any of those things, I want to take them through experiences that they'll actually remember and be like, oh, this is where I learned how to persevere. This is where I learned take Maisie, for example. We took this hike in July, of course, where we live. It was in July, snowstorm rolls in. We're in the mountains. And, we're kitted up for, we're wearing pants, but t-shirts, we're rolling in the mountains, snowstorm. And we got a mile to go, and then we got to head back to, mile to get to our destination. We got to head back. And Maisie's freaked, she's cold, she's young, she's taking twice as many steps as everybody else. It's a big deal for her to walk out on this thing. And like,
big time.
We're okay. We're going to be okay. And we're here to help you. We're going to persevere. We're not going back. Oh, but I'm cold and it's snowing. And yeah, it is. It is. But we're going to persevere. And as a family, we're going to make this a memory that we'll always remember,
Yep.
And sure enough, we get up there and it's miserable and everything's miserable. And they're like, oh, okay, we made it. Let's get out of here, And then we just start scooting back to the truck.
Hey guys, I want to give a shout out to Alaska Legend. Man, this has been an incredible journey. You can book this boat actually for your next journey, for your family, your friends, even a corporate adventure. You will see brown bears, fishing, wildlife, waterfalls, glaciers, just unreal mountain landscape. Like, it is probably one of the top trips of my lifetime. You do not want to miss this. It's where luxury meets adventure. It's where service and class meets you right in the middle of a yacht in the ocean. Guys, it doesn't get any better than this, and Charles Davis at the helm will give you a first-class experience. So reach out to them at alaskayacht.com to book your next adventure and tell them Table Men sent you. Guys, we cannot wait for you to get to experience what we get to experience on this boat. And guys, we look forward to seeing you back on the boat.
But we still talk about that. That's years ago now. We still talk about that. And it's all, all the hurt and the pain of it in the cold has gone away. Now it's just a great memory. Hey, remember that time? It was the middle of summer. We got caught in a snowstorm and we were all out there freezing. Like, Yazi was tiny and, she's crying. And she'll be like, I remember, it was so fun, But it's a memory that turned into, like, not only a skill, but like a life.
Shaping.
Yeah. Like, oh, we persevere. This is what we do. We persevere.
Yeah.
We didn't, like, Mom wasn't like, okay, Maze, well, we're going to go back and the boys are going to go ahead because they're, they're tougher and or whatever, Like, none of that nonsense.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're in this. We committed to do it as a family. We're finishing this thing as a family. And I don't know how that pays off to them in terms of practicality, but I know in my own life, I remember those things in my family.
Yeah,
That's
big
something
time.
that was instilled in me. And when I started to really process that, when I started having my own kids, I was like, those things, those memories, and didn't have to be a ton of them, right? It didn't have to be like every 5 minutes we did this. It was like there were certain things that we did as a family and certain things that I did with my dad and certain things, that we got into that shaped who I was.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to provide for my kids.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I think it immediately makes me think about, we did a father-son trip going all the way up from Texas to New Mexico, Moab. And when we got to Moab, we stopped and we were mountain biking from the Moab mountains back. And we were going to go all the way back down to our hotel, which was, I don't know what it was, 20 miles or something like that. Well, before we did that, we're going through like mountain bike trails. Well, the guy was like, oh yeah, take this one mountain bike trail, it'll drop down and it easy goes over to the pavement and you ride the pavement back. Well, what he forgot to mention was there's a Y in there, and the Y right is a double diamond, and the Y left is a beginner trek. Well, lo and behold, I take the Y right. I mean, dude, we barrel off this thing. I raced mountain bikes on a pro level, and so I'm like grinning ear to ear, but I'm like, I've got an 8-year-old and another 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. We are going to be walking these things down. Well, actually, they pretty much took a bunch of courage pills, and freaking just rode these. I mean, we're talking drop-offs. I mean, you're talking steep downhills, and they bared it. And it was a moment of like, I got what it takes, and I can do it. If my dad can do this, and I think that was what was cool, was they got to watch. If I can make these trails and I go slow and I'm teaching them the whole entire time, yelling behind me, hey, easy, balance on the back left, come down, brake right here, But you get to the end of it and it's like, cool, we made it. Well, I get all the way down to the bottom and then I look at the paved road going back and it's like, I mean, there ain't no way these kids are making it back up this paved road even. And I was like, all right, boys, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to call an Uber. We're going downhill all the way back to the lodge, and let's go. And so we're blazing, running 30 miles an hour. I mean, we're just flying. And my son's chain goes and explodes. And I'm like, gosh, oh my, you got to be kidding me right now. And so I was like, well, guess I'm going to pedal and I'm going to push you. So I'm going to put my left arm on your back. And for like the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles, I'm literally pedaling, 2 of us, pushing him forever. But again, it's another one of those moments of just like, we got to do it together, and I got to be there with him in that. And his pedal fell off, So it was all kinds of craziness. And so we got to experience a difficulty in a trial together, and overcome that. But, for me, I think I want my kids to be well-rounded. I want them to be well-shaped by experience, in different environments. And yes, I want to put them in challenging situations so that they have to find some grit, I was just thinking about, we were loading bulls at the house, and these are 1,800-pound bulls. I mean, I'm talking like big, massive, burly things. And my son's out there just with a freaking stick, he's like, oh, hey, whooping on these things and stuff. And I'm like, hey, Dad's got to be very careful about what's going on right now, because they were getting all fired up because we're trying to load them in a trailer to the sale. And I mean, these things are mad. And that sucker, one horn to the chest and you're done. It can smoke you. But they weren't shied away from it, They didn't back off of it, They pressed in, and because they're watching Dad press in and go for it again. And I think in these moments of, I was shaped by my dad in that way when I was younger. We had a pet bull at the house called Oreo. He was a big old Bramer bull, and we could feed him sugar cubes, and he's gentle as a dog. Well, one day Oreo's eyes changed, and he went from gentle to just lost it. And this thing's just woo, 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 running straight at us. And my dad's looking around. My dad's little. He's like 5'7", 180 pounds. Reaches down and grabs a tree limb and just, wow. And I mean, hits him right between the eyes, dude. This thing is freaking, dude. I was like, and my dad is Superman. Yeah. I was like, holy crap, man. Yeah. And 2 moments of my dad being bucked off a horse in the middle of a pasture by ourselves, and laughing about it, giggling about it, just in the middle of adventure and wonder and the things. But then it all circles back to coming back to the campfire, if we're out camping, or coming back to the table and all eating dinner and telling the wild stories of the day. I mean, I think it's been a really big deal.
Yeah. I have all these memories of my dad like that, stuff that got put down inside me. I'm like, my dad can pretty much do anything. And, everything's good. Like, there's no question. There's no, is everything going to fall apart at any moment? And the way that I saw my mom and dad interact, I was like, okay, they're good. They're solid, It's through example, and it was through them choosing to spend time with me that I started to understand how those things work a little bit, and then grew up with this security of knowing all that around me. Now I think about my kids and I'm like, okay, how do I make sure to cultivate that thing? Not that I think that, not that I'm trying to prove to them that I know everything, because I don't. And a lot of times I'm apologizing to them and saying, hey, I didn't do that right. And I could have done that better. Sorry. Next time I'm going to do it better. But they do see me accomplish things all the time. It's not that I'm trying to teach them or show them through it. I think that, just like everybody says, we just pick up on things. We see things, and kids are smart. They're looking, they're watching, they're seeing how we respond to things. And for us as men at the table, if you will, I think we're called to a higher level of that than or to the highest level of that. Maybe like we actually need to show up, and we need to take the initiative to not just show up for family in certain ways. Like, well, I go work my job and put food on the table, so I'm good. Like, no, we're the example. And as we press into things, that responsibility lays on us to like, okay, well, I got an hour here, and I can either choose to take it for myself, or I can choose to take it and engage with my kid or engage with my wife, where my kids see in a way that's meaningful or, accomplishing something. Not so much just teaching them, but letting them see how life is done. Yeah. And I think that's just a huge key to having, success in our hearts and in our families and as a unit and everything.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And, talk a little bit about, your wife, travels. She's an artist, and you travel, as well. So it's not always the same, right? It's not always like you are at home, she's at home all the time, or, but how does that continue to be managed? We're in the same boat in the sense of my travel schedule as well, but it's not about being perfect or every single night, but how do you guys manage that with all the moving pieces that you guys are dealing with?
Yeah, moving pieces is exactly right. And I think we've learned to never just be like, this is the target. When we get there, we're going to be there. It's like that target is always moving. Yeah. And so we're always gauging how the kids are doing. And sometimes we're traveling a lot, and you can start to see the effects, and we've arranged ourselves in a way that we can be like, okay, we need to adjust right now. Like, one of the kids is spinning out. Mm-hmm. Let's fix this. Or, I'm spinning out, or she's spinning out. And so we have arranged it that way beforehand, to be like, as soon as that happens, we have parameters in place. Yeah. And it maybe middle kid's spinning out, we got a week to power through, and then we're going to revamp and get back and get this thing healthy. Or it might be, like, I'm spinning out because I haven't seen my wife in 2 weeks, and I'm, upset at like I'm feeling like mom or something, which is on me. But and I'm like, we got to adjust something because I'm not doing well here, or vice versa the other way. It works the same for everybody. And I think we've learned over the years, because we've lived a traveling lifestyle our entire marriage, and that's all our kids have known. And we've learned to just teach that perseverance in them. Like, hey, this isn't, if you're struggling with something, this isn't life. This is a moment. And we're going to get through it, and we're going to learn from it, and then we won't let it happen again. Okay, okay. All right, let's move on. Okay. And that's how we roll with it, and that's how we've been able to do that. And I think it teaches the kids a lot of times, that everything's not just going to be easy. It's not just going to be handed to you. You're going to have to work for it a little bit, and or a lot in some cases. And it teaches them that they're part of the journey as well. Like we get to tell them, hey, this isn't just for us. It's not like we're not just doing this. We're involved in ministry. Most of our travel is around ministry. So it's like, there's people out there that we can help. Yep. And you're making a sacrifice right now. Our family's making a sacrifice right now because we're helping others. And that's an important part of life too. Yep. Life isn't just all about us. And the kids have taken hold of that over the years. And, at first it's very hard for them to understand. They're like, it's my mommy here. And I'm like, well, she's not here. Yeah. Yeah. And, and we've always held that thing of like, it's not bad it's just something to be managed, just like everything else. It's a season, and we just need to manage it well. Yeah, and we need to adjust. And we also, one of the things that we made as a priority was like, home is family. And our family together, together, that's home.
Yeah.
So if we're all out on the road somewhere, or if one of us is gone and then the other ones have to come meet us for a little bit and then we're gone again, like that's home.
Yeah.
That's our home.
Yeah.
Like we have our house, which is great.
Yeah.
But home, the safety place, is all of us together as a unit. And that's where we just come back home.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, just from, walking alongside you guys and in this journey, your kids specifically, they're so just centered and well-rounded and mannered and, and I think it just speaks volumes to how you guys are carrying, I don't like the word balance. I like what we say, managing, it's managing, it's a moving target. There is no, I don't believe in balance in the sense of, work-life balance and adventure-life balance. No, you have this moment and this time period to go after this and go after that. It's not we're not looking for a bottom line return, and trying to balance a money line. You're talking about lives on all different spectrums, and you're talking about experiences on all different levels and people interpreting them all differently. So, same thing. My kids, they ask, Dad, why do you got to go on this trip? Another trip, and I tell them, but what if there's another dad out there that needs help? What if what we're doing is really helping others, and by what you're allowing to partner with me and knowing and understanding that I'm doing this for the benefit of helping men and helping their kids and your friends' kids, your friends' dads and things like that. And, just helps them again, just reshape it. And then also I take my kids on a lot of trips too, just to constantly, be aware of that and balance that and keep that as a center theme, that they're not a left behind, thing that is never addressed or, come after. But so, in this last thought, you guys have created that come to the table, and explain that a little bit. What is that? What are you doing with that?
Yeah. Come to the table. Funny name, right? Funny correlations here. It was planned.
We have no similarities whatsoever of our thought patterns,
Yeah. Come to the table is all based off the concept of, there's certain times in ministry where it's like you're looking at people on stages and they're talking and they're training or whatever, which I there's all sorts of things going on about people in high up places right now, and I'm not trying to speak to that, but the idea of come to the table is there's just power that's transferred in different ways when you're on the level with somebody. Like the stage of always implies there's people down here and there's somebody up here who has a light on them, essentially, which gives them some sort of place or position or of authority or something. And the table is even playing field, right? Everybody's on the level. And that's what come to the table is all about. Like, let's approach ministry from a little different standpoint as like we're giving and taking from each other. We're sharing something with each other. We're on the level with each other.
Yeah.
How do we get on that level as we're all equal individuals? And some of us have gifts and talents. Some of us have authority that others don't have, and all these things. But that doesn't make us anybody lesser or greater. It's just all part of life and challenging each other to be better and growing. So it's the same concept of let's gather around a table with some folks. Let's set a table, whether that be through music or like a table like music that is more just like let's come together and share this experience of a night of worship or songs or whatever, or something as clear as a table. Like, let's actually come to the table and have conversations about some of these things.
Yeah.
And so that's what that's all about. And we've just seen not only a change in others' hearts, but changes in our hearts that we begin to approach ministry that way, and not like, let's try to do the biggest thing we can possibly do.
Big blowout,
and
market everywhere.
Like, God, that'll just wear you out.
It does.
It's
exhausting.
But the like giving and taking and sharing together, sharing a meal together, sharing at the table together.
Yeah.
That's where you like, yes, you're giving, but you're also getting filled up at the same time, and it's revitalizing. So that's,
yep.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I know there's a lot of conversations we've had where, you want to be able to bring others in and, help shape their sound, or, give back to them in their craft, and specifically in music, or however that looks. And I know you guys also, renovated your garage, which was a big space that turned into this really cool meeting space that now you have a place where people can come stay and experience worship, or experience an environment with a community. And you even have a community of men that you're gathered around. Explain a little bit more about how that works in the inner working of y'all's life.
Yeah, well, we started a process. This is something that's very fitting for this, but we started a process how, as leaders of our family, or in this case, men or myself, how a lot of times the church environment isn't great for me training my kids in a certain way. Like, they go to Sunday school, which is fantastic. And there's things they get from Sunday school that, that I probably wouldn't teach them, or couldn't teach them, or won't teach which is all good. But there isn't often in Western church, as we know it, this space for
integration of kids.
Yeah, integration of kids, but also integration of ministry together.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like the leaders leading with their kids. I'm like talking about ministering as a body together with our children.
Yeah.
And so we created a space, or honestly, I even have a hard time saying we created it, because really the Lord created it. He gave us the idea, and then he brought the resource, and then it was there. So he created this space for where we get together and we just worship. We follow the moment, what the Lord's doing, but the kids are part of the whole thing. So the kids aren't like, okay, now we're going to go to the kids' room. It's like, no, actually, kids, come up here. Come up to the front. You're going to help lead this song. Or you're going to help pray. Or you're going to take this moment to really press in, because this moment is dull. Or, it's like a slack moment. You're bored. We get it. Some of the kids are running around making chaos. It's okay. Everybody here knows that's all right.
Yeah.
But we're going to encourage you to engage and take a moment to like actually press in to see what the Lord's doing. And so we've done this for years now, and seen like just crazy things with the kids engaging, and they'll grab the microphone and start praying over things that I'm like, oh, that's got some heat on. I need to tee on my game here a little bit, because this 8-year-old just took me, took intention and focus on this, praying about this issue to a level that I wasn't at.
Yeah.
And I love that, and so we get to actively train our kids in, the ways of how to do that personally, but not just us. It's everybody in the room that has their kids there. So that became a huge part of it. And I just love it.
Yeah.
And, and we've got a crazy group of, pastors of different churches who come because they're like, I want my kids to be a part of this. And I want my kids to be a part of some ministry thing that's not on my shoulders, where I can actually just focus on standing here, holding their hand and worshiping together.
Right.
And that's what it's for.
100%.
And so, yeah, that's just been kind of a beautiful thing that's happening.
And it makes me think about, there's so many times that, we did that for years where, our kids were involved with all of the stuff, involved with worship, and involved with giving words, even, over people and praying for people, and, all the different stuff. And they got to see that, and especially in our home. I mean, our home is just a place where that's a normal occurrence. Like your people are going to get prayed for, or something's going to happen in that way or shape. And I'll never forget this one of, I had gotten a phone call from a pastor to call me, and he goes, "Hey, there's a girl that needs deliverance. I don't know how to do that. You're the only person I know that can do something like that or help." And so anyways, I go walk this girl through deliverance, and immediately I'm like, hey, you come home with us. Like you're welcome to come and be in our home, and so she comes and brings her 3 friends that were there that night, and they're all freaked out because they kind of saw some extra
crazy.
extra crazy that would make you kind of question supernatural realities that they really do exist, and so they're all kind of level 10 paranoid, and I say, hey, do y'all know what the Holy Spirit is? And like, I know you're Christians, but he can actively engage in this moment and he can change the narrative right now. I said, I just want to pray with all of you. And man, we just pray and the Holy Spirit comes and boom, these girls are just down and in under the presence of the Lord. And unbeknownst to me, my daughter is too, over in the corner. And my daughter later comes into the bedroom, and I could just tell, you could see like something took place. You got a different look in your eye of like something's going on. And she has a full-on encounter with Jesus, and a real reality like encounter with him, but it wasn't directed towards her. It was just, she's in the room. And I just think it's a travesty that our kids aren't in the room most of the time, in society, in the American church. They're over in, this is the Bible song I'm learning, and these are the coloring pads I'm coloring. And it's like, no, man, when the Lord shows up and people start getting touched, like, I want my kids as close to that encounter as possible. And on top of that, it's going to shape them when they watch it, and see it. So, I think it's paramount. I think us as men, we've got to set the table for our families, our kids. I hope that you guys, by hearing this, I hope that maybe, if you do shape and you do gather around the table, I just say, stay consistent at that. Like, go for that. It's a high value. It's a high value in our families' lives. And if we travel a lot, and it should be hard for us to be able to navigate that. And people ask me all the time, you're gone from your family all the time. Like, you're a bad husband. I literally have people say, you're a bad husband. Like, you're gone too much. Your wife, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, go hang out with my kids. And you tell me if I am a bad father or a bad husband or whatever. You all come back and tell me my kids are level 10, that my kids are an incredible experience. My kids are, so something doesn't compute here. If what you're saying is just by a stereotypical, I'm gone, and you are looking at my life from a subjective standpoint versus judge the fruit by which you see inside of our family's life. And that ought to be what you can then say, whatever you want to base your thesis on in that way.
Yeah. And absolutely. I think we're capable of having healthy families in pretty much any situation. Right?
Yeah.
And it's the question isn't how much are you doing this or how much are you doing that, gone or, working or whatever. It's engagement to me. And
100%.
How much am I being engaged with my kids? How much are they priority focus number one, and how much are they not?
Yep.
And if I tell them, not through my words, but through my actions, if that they get 1% of my time as full engaged priority, well, yeah, that's me failing as a father.
Exactly.
But if they feel like, that I can get engaged access to dad at any time I need it, like I can, whether that's through, just yanking on my shirt sleeve or, at the table or whatever it is, then I know things are going right. They know things are going right, but they learn that because of us choosing to be engaged with them all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a miss that people often, or a spot where people miss often, is that choosing to stay engaged all the time, because it's hard work, right? You want to tune out, you want to check out, but that's not the way. The way is somebody needs you, you engage, you go after the problem, and you find it.
I think you summed it up when you said home is where our family is. I mean, if you just take that as a snapshot, this is home, therefore this is where community happens, face-to-face interaction happens, love is transferred, we work through problems together. It's okay to not be okay. It's just not okay to stay that way, you know? And we learn through tackling obstacles and working through, like what you said earlier, you know, I apologize a lot. You know, Sarah apologizes a lot. Like, gosh almighty, you know, I mean, get frustrated and, you know, raise my voice at the kids, or, you know, do some just idiotic thing where you're just like, God, man, I know I'm better than that. And I am better than that. So guys, I'm sorry that blew it there. And that's not the way you should respond in that moment. And now our kids get to see that. Like one of the things we do with our kids is, you know, if they get into a drop down, drag out, you know, whatever. All right, face to face, tell each other 5 things you love about each other, and then hug for 10 minutes. Like, it's a proven scientific fact. If you are holding somebody, you can't stay mad for long, you know. And sure enough, after about a minute, man, they're giggling and squirming and, you know, and so, you know, Sarah and I need to practice that more. We need to hug it out more, you know, but it's a truth. And I think it's healthy family is revival, you know, going back to that. It is a lighthouse. Our families are a lighthouse to others. It's a beacon of hope. Just like we were hearing the story of a friend of ours that went camping on a camping trip, and his family was a beacon of hope to a girl camping next to him who was going to commit suicide.
Yeah. Individually and as a group, both.
Literally, like it just, boom. The girl stops the suicide because she sees a healthy family that carried something that she's never really impacted. And boom, game over. She ends the suicide trip. And it was all by observing a family do life together and be present together. Cut. End of podcast, you know. That's it. And I think we need to stay committed to it. So any other last thoughts that you have?
No, I think we nailed it.
I think we rounded that one out pretty good. Guys, as I said, we are right here in Alaska. If you've been watching with us on video, this is just a place that, man, I love. It's a place to encounter the Lord. It's a cool place to shoot a podcast, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, set the table for your family, set the table at your business, set the table inside of whatever church expression that you are. Find men to set the table with. Jesus set the table in so many ways, shapes, and forms. So many times it says he was reclined with friends. So many times it talks about he's coming back. He's going to set a giant banquet table. You're welcome to the table. If you want to be comfortable in heaven, learn how to sit at a table. I think that's a pretty clear statement that Jesus has made. That's what it's probably going to look like a lot more than we think. And yes, we're going to worship him and holy, 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 but I sure do want to eat dinner with him and talk and tell stories, man. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, Peter, you know, Paul, Moses. Oh, well, man, you know, one time we got up to the Red Sea and I held my arms up, you know. I didn't know what was going to happen. I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty cool. So thanks again, man. Love it. It's cool. Guys, until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Hey guys, I just got back here to Texas and we just got off the Alaskan Legend shooting a podcast that you are not going to want to miss. These are real, raw, authentic stories, but shot in the middle of creation with waterfalls, glaciers. It's incredible. A journey of a lifetime with friends talking about Jesus and him encountering us at the table. Go to tablemen.com. You can watch it right there, YouTube, or listen on any podcast platform you want to listen to. Table Men Podcast. It is where it's going to be.